Are you ready to hustle?
I need to hustle.
Welcome to The Hustle with Justin Harrison, the ultimate podcast for money motivation and inspiration.
In this episode of the Hustle podcast, we are joined by Fifi, a young lady who's making big, bold moves for her family. She's a Money Tribe member and has been an active part of our community. And she's got some very big and important questions lined up today. Fifi, welcome to the Hustle podcast. Let's jump right in.
Thank you very much, Mr. Miney. Okay, my first question. I am currently learning how to make my own shoes due to the pain points my mother and I go through every day, especially in winter. So I've been going through the lessons on the Money Tribe and I've been learning a lot. Should I decide to venture into a side hustle or a business? My question is, with the businesses that you have started so far, I don't know, like 200 or something businesses, um, from back then till now, how have you been? And have you ever had a business that you believed in but didn't do well in the first 3 years and started doing well on the fourth or fifth year? If you had, what made you continue with it despite the difficulties? And if the business failed, what lessons did you learn from that to make you who you are today?
I mean, that's a great set of questions. And I think the one thing we need to obviously tackle is that most businesses that you start are going to take at least 3 to 5 years to get off the ground. But what I will tell you is that I have learned this lesson through starting lots of businesses, is that you need to look for what I call signs of life. Signs of life is that there is at least a pulse in the idea that you have. And by that, I mean, somebody must be interested in the product that you're offering. And they mustn't just tell you that they're interested. They must actually express interest by purchasing the product. And this is why I always tell people, never ask your friends and family about a business idea, because they'll try and spare you your feelings. What they'll do is they'll say, yes, I think it's a great idea. But in reality, the only way to really know if it's a good idea is to see if people are actually going to purchase the product. So we've started businesses where, we thought it was a great idea. And sometimes we've chased that for 3-4 years, only to realize that there actually isn't a market for the product. And so consequently, what you learn through this is that you mustn't chase coal down the mine shaft. Sometimes as entrepreneurs, we marry ourselves to an idea because it's something that we love or it's a pain point that we have, but there's not enough other people experiencing the same pain point as you. And so, you need to take your ideas and quantify it down to one very simple thing. Are people actually taking money out of their pockets to purchase the product? And if they're not, then you don't have a business. And I can now literally within a couple of months tell you whether a business is going to be successful or not. And it's purely based on, are you doing sales? If you start doing sales in month 3 or month 4 and you're actually covering some costs, and you even if you're not making money, but there's at least some sales on the table, then you've got a workable product. You've got something that's actually going to be purchased by other people. But don't marry yourself to an idea and go, well, the entrepreneur story that is sold is you've got to do it for 3 years, you've got to do it for 4 years, and you'll eventually break through. No, you need to see on day one if people are buying the product or not. And if people are not buying the product, then don't waste your time. And so I go to this example that you're talking about. Your pain point is that you're a size 3 shoe. You've noticed that you battle to find people who or suppliers who can provide shoes for people of size 3, right? And so what you need to understand, and this is going to be the entrepreneur's lesson here, you've eliminated people who size 4, size 5, size 6, size 7, size 8, size 9, size 10. So you literally now talking to the smallest possible market. And business is about finding a good niche, right? So shoes, leather shoes, etc. could be a good niche. But you must make sure that there's a broad enough market appeal that people are actually going to purchase the product, and that there's enough customers out there. So I don't know how many people are running out there with smaller than size 3 shoes, but you need to think about that market. It might be a very small market, and then consequently might not be a business that you can scale. So I don't want to deter you from your dreams, but what I want to say to you is sit down and really think through things logically. And the whole idea that you need to be pushed through and waste 4 years of your life to get a business that's successful. I can tell you the businesses that I've had to push through in 3 or 4 years, most of them have never become successful. I should have known in month 1, month 2, month 3 that this wasn't going to be a business. So hopefully this saves you a lot of pain on your journey.
Definitely. Thank you so much. This will really help me. I'll definitely look into this.
Good.
Thank
All
you.
right. Let's jump into your next question.
Okay, my next question is, I'm in my 40s. I look young, but I'm in my 40s and I've cut off the expenses. I've been able to pay off my debts. I'm spending less than I earn. I'm saving in order to get that capital and deploy it into investments. I want to make sure that when I reach retirement age, I'll be able to be sovereign. When I have many conversations with other people, I often realize that people are discouraged due to their salary, due to their time, like time gone by, their age, and often it's only one person earning in the house of five. So my question to you is, what's your advice to those who are trying to change their lives but feel so discouraged?
Again, such a deep question, because I think, there's some cultural aspects we have to approach. There's some South African aspects we have to approach, and then there's some human aspects we have to approach. So let's start
Mm-hmm,
with the biggest problem, which is the human aspect.
mm-hmm,
Most people are focused on consumption in their lifetime. Most people will tell you that I want to live now because I might not live forever. Most people tell you, yes, I know having retirement funds is important, but I also have to enjoy my life today because I might never make it to retirement. I might die. The problem is, most people will make it to retirement, and most people are going to be stuck without money in their old age. So I think we have to change the narrative in our head from let's not consume now so that we can consume when we're older and enjoy our lives when we're older. And so I think that it requires an enormous amount of sacrifice. And I think that mindset is something that you're only going to be able to tap into if you truly understand how scary it is to grow old without money. And so for anybody who's listening to this and doesn't have the motivation to spend less than they earn, I encourage you to go to an old age home. I encourage you to go and sit around with old people who haven't got money and realize how scary that is. I encourage you to go into a homeless shelter and see what happens when you can't provide a roof over your head in your old age. There's a lot of old people in old age shelters today. And so I encourage you to look at that and go, I've seen the reality, and consequently I have to make better choices today. Then I want to come to the South African issue. And the South African issue is that we are a deeply traumatized nation. We're traumatized not just based on our political history in this country, but we're economically traumatized based on a lot of events that have happened in this country. And so, we have so many challenges in this country. Just trying to survive on a daily basis is scary. We've got to worry about security. We've got to worry about our children. We've got to worry about keeping a roof over our head. We've got to worry about how we can get to work. We've got to worry about if there's going to be a road getting to work. I mean, South Africa is a deeply traumatized nation. And so consequently, when people are traumatized, generally they'll try and find an outlet for their trauma. And retail therapy, going and buying shit, makes people feel better. And so that's why people spend a lot of money in this country. It's why people drink too much. That's why obesity is on the rise. That's why we've got people buying name brand clothing when they can't afford it, because they're trying to literally fill a gap because of their trauma. And so the only answer I can again give to people in this situation is to sit down and look at your life and say, well, if I do what everybody else is doing, I'm going to be in the same place as everybody else. And if I truly want to break the generational curses in my family, I've got to take the trauma, realize it's there, but I've got to do something with it constructively. And I always say anger and trauma can be a great thing to drive you in the right direction if you use it positively. You can either hit the bottle and become an alcoholic, or you can hit the gym and become a beast. I'm encouraging people to hit the gym, become a beast. I'm encouraging people to work hard, to hustle hard, to grind, to be disciplined, because you can take any trauma and you can turn it into good or you can turn it into bad, but the choice is ultimately yours. And then I want to come to the cultural issue. And I think this is something that is fairly unique as a South African aspect, but black tax is a real thing in this country. And, it's a subject that I don't think is deeply understood enough. But the moment one person makes it to the job, the moment one person makes it to income, they suddenly immediately responsible for multiple dependents, not just in their own home, but often the neighbors, often their family's kids. And so I think this is perhaps one of the deepest issues I'm trying to fix when I talk to people, is to understand that as hard as what I'm about to say sounds, and it goes against the spirit of Ubuntu and it goes against all the things that we've grown up with, You have to understand that you can't save anybody else until you fucking breathing yourself. You have to be able to breathe yourself. You have to be able to swim yourself before you jump in the river and save somebody who's drowning. And I know it's painful, and I know people don't want to hear it, and I know it comes across as selfish, but we've got to get away from this thing where black tax keeps holding people down. We've got to get to a point where I can only help people when I can help myself first. I can only help the next door neighbor when my family's taken care of. And so we have to become disciplined in our emotions to go, if I'm going to break the generational curse in my family and help my family get off the poverty line and out of poverty, that means I might have to make the difficult choice of not helping other people. I might have to learn to say no. I might have to let people view me as selfish and self-centered. But as long as you know what you're doing, and that is to break the generational curses in your family. So I think this is a deep issue, and I don't think there's an easy answer to it. But I will tell you, it comes down to one very simple thing. Make the fucking choice. Make the choice to become financially independent. Make the choice to break the generational curse. Make the choice to get your family out of the poverty line and into a place where your family never has to worry about money again. I say this all the time. I'm a first generation wealth builder. I didn't come from wealth. I have worked my ass off to make sure that my children's children will never experience what I experienced, the poverty that I experienced. And I had to make the choice that some people are going to have to dislike me on that journey. Some people are not going to agree with me. Some people are going to hate me for the things that I have to do to get off that poverty line. But if I want to get out of the bucket, I can't be like every other crab in the bucket. I've got to get out of the bucket.
Wow, I have goosebumps right now. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. My question three, being a mother of two, I'm passing my lessons from the money trap to my kids. My son has learned that to make money, you must bring solutions to people's problems. So every opportunity he gets, he grabs and he makes extra money on the side. My daughter has learned how powerful her mind is. She's currently doing ballet, especially when she's doing her ballet routines. It's difficult for her, and then she closes her eyes, sees herself doing it, and then boom, she can do it. She can probably do it. She does the routine perfectly. So my question is, last month my kids asked me to give them a salary. So what I'm doing right now, they do their chores, and from that salary they pay us electricity, food, water, and rent, and the rest of the money I save it for them. My question to you is, what more can I do as a parent to equip my kids? And what lesson would you give the kids or teenagers in today's times to help them face the world that we're in?
So, first of all, I want to say I think you're doing an exceptional job with your kids. I think you're already breaking generational curses by doing what a lot of people in your circumstances probably wouldn't do. You've made different choices, and I think that is extremely powerful. But I can only give you this answer based on what I personally do. And it would be hypocritical of me not to give you the exact answer, as uncomfortable as it's going to be, because it's the answer you're not going to want.
Okay.
I don't believe children should be paid for anything
Mhm.
they do inside the home. Anything they do inside the home is part of being part of the family unit. Whether you do chores, whether you mow the lawn, whether you wash the dishes, whether you help do things around the house, you should never get paid for that. And I'll tell you why. First of all, it builds a strong family bond. It teaches the children that this is not just a privilege to be part of this family. It is your God-given duty and right to serve your siblings and to serve your parents and to serve the name of this family. Because if we are going to break a generational curse, we're breaking it together. It's not Fifi breaking the curse on behalf of other people. We're doing this together. We are breaking this so your children never have to go through what their grandmother had to go through.
Mm.
That you and your children never have to think about the things I had to think of to get you off the poverty line. So I don't believe children should ever be rewarded for chores around the house. That's the first thing I'm going to say. The second thing is, I believe that children should be taught to go and hustle and make money outside of the home economy, which your children are already doing. And I believe what the children should be doing is figuring out whether it's selling avos, cleaning the next door neighbor's car. It doesn't matter. but they need to go and figure out, how do I get money outside of the house? Because if mom and dad keep giving the money, it creates dependency. And yes, you could argue, well, they had to do a chore to get the money. But if you understand, that's rewarding them for doing what they should have been doing in the first place, which is serving the family first. And I teach this in my own home. Family is everything. Family first. Always family first. No matter what happens, when we build Corporation Harrison, you serve Corporation Harrison first and you serve yourself second. And that is the way I'm raising my children. And if you want money, it ain't going to come from me, and it ain't going to come from Harrison Corporation. You're going to go outside of this home and you're going to figure out how to earn money outside of this home. And you're going to bring that money into the house. And then you don't get the privilege of sitting on your backside and having all of that money, because you need to also understand that you have to contribute to the home. And I've taught my kids this at the youngest age. And I'll give you the deeper answer why in a second. But I still believe, based on that, yes, you should take a percentage of what they earn and do it as a percentage. So 10% of what you earn goes to the electricity. 10% of what you earn will go to whatever, food, right? Because what it does is it teaches them that actually I can't just earn money and sit on my backside now and be mom and dad's responsibility when I'm in my 30s. I actually understand that when I earn money, there's a cost associated to living. There's a cost associated to doing things. Teach them responsibility. And then what I would say is, take that money that they give you, the 10% of whatever it is. And I know you as a parent don't need that money or want that money for actually paying for electricity and actually paying for food. Without your kids knowing it, go and invest it into something for them, right? So that when they turn 21, all those years of they thought they were paying rent, they were building their own wealth. And they were at the same time learning a lesson through it, right? And so I want to give you a much deeper answer here in terms of what I'm doing with my family. When my kids turn 21, 22, 23, and they're adults, they will have got qualifications. They will have also learned how to do a hard skill like lay bricks, be an electrician, be a seamstress, be a hairdresser, depending on the gender. And I'm going to make sure that they have a hard skill set and that they have an educational skill set, like a master of business, right? An MBA. They will then come into my business, but only if they have got those things under the belt as qualifications. They will come into my business and they will start at the bottom and they will shovel shit in my business, like I did right at the bottom. Because here's what most families do wrong. The moment the children start becoming adults, they go and buy a house somewhere else. They go and buy a car. They start their own financial lives. And that doesn't build generational wealth. I'm building a corporation that is called Harrison Inc. And my kids will not buy a car. My kids will drive one of the several cars that are held by the company that is Harrison Inc. They will live in one of the houses that is owned by Harrison Inc. And whether one earns more and one earns less, it doesn't matter. They'll all contribute to that corporation. And we are going to build a fortress so that our next several generations never have to worry about money, never have to worry about buying a house, buying a car, and all the dumb shit, because it's literally going to be treated like a business. But you only instill that value system in your kids if you do what I'm saying now, which is from day one, teach them how to go get money outside of the house. Number 2, teach them to be part of the family unit. And number 3, and most importantly, teach them the responsibility of contributing financially to something bigger than themselves. Because most families are destroying and eroding their wealth by constantly sending off the kids. One kid goes here, one kid goes there, one kid goes there. And they're all buying their own homes, all going into their own debt, all buying their own cars, all buying, multiple things, when we should actually be bringing that family unit together and building something that will last several generations.
Wow. Noted. I'm really gonna do this. Thank you so much. This really meant a lot to me. I'm gonna take everything you said and I'm gonna write it down and plan. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
It's an absolute pleasure. Any more questions, Fifi? You get a free question. You get 10 free questions.
Question. Let's see. Okay, I love investing, and you've also taught us in the Money Tribe that you need to learn before you invest. You need to learn what you're doing. So, what
Yep.
advice can I, or which platform can I teach my kids for now to go into investing?
So the very first thing you need to get for your kids is a basic accounting course. They cannot
Okay.
invest in something they cannot read. It's like saying go buy books, but you don't know how to read English, right?
Mm-hmm.
First of all, teach your kids how to do basic accounting. You can go get accounting for dummies. They need to know what a balance sheet is, an income statement, a cash flow statement. And this stuff you can teach to literally children. My daughter, who's 13, can read financial statements better than most adults. And so teach them to read the thing that they intend on investing into. Teach them how to value a business. Do it together with them because it's a skill set you also need to acquire. And only once they truly understand that, only then you start talking about platform. Only then you start talking about investing, right? But you need to know how to drive a car before you go looking at buying a car. It's like asking me to go, what dealership, what brand should my children go look at if they're buying a car? Get their license first. They need to get a license first.
Exactly. Thank you so much. This means a lot to me. Thank you so much.
Anything else on your mind?
Let's see. Anything on my mind? Let's talk about people in our lives that bring us down with their words. And I've been trying. I'm paranoid about those people, but their family. That's the thing that hurts me a lot. People that are negative, but their family. How do you block them? Not how do you block their words from hurting you? You can get rid of them
So
because they're family.
I disagree. So speaking as somebody who's been through a lot of personal trauma with family, I can tell you that there is always one black sheep in the family who decides to go a different direction. I was the black sheep. Anybody who thinks differently, who doesn't conform, who decides they're going to create something that nobody else in their family has created is going to be seen as an outsider. And everybody's going to talk shit about them and everybody's going to say negative things about them. But here's what I will tell you. If you spend time with any human being, family or not, and you walk away feeling drained and tired, and you don't walk away feeling energized and excited, that is a sign from the heavens above and the universe to cut that person off like cancer. And so what I would say to you is, irrespective of whether it is a friend, whether it is family, just understand you don't have to be a nasty person, but you have a choice over who you spend your time with. And I don't choose to spend my time around negative people. And I've had people ask me, why don't you visit anymore? And I say, because I find you draining, because I find you negative. And when you change your attitude and maybe you elevate your status in life in terms of your thinking and the way you cast your energy out into the world, then by all means, we can talk. Until then, I'm beating down my own path and I haven't got time for negativity. And if you hate me for it, I'm okay with you hating me. I would rather be hated, but be surrounded by positive energy. I'd rather be in a room full of people who dislike me, but I'm happy. There's nothing worse than being in a room full of people who think you're amazing, but you actually are miserable because of what you're having to be in that room. And so my answer to you is very simple. If you walk away drained from a relationship, that is a clear sign that you need to move on. And Fifi, don't feel guilty about it. People will constantly try and pull you down into their bucket and go, oh, she thinks she's clever. Oh, she thinks she's better than us. Oh, she thinks she's this. She thinks she's that. Let them fucking think it. It doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is what's in your heart, number one. And number two, your immediate family unit. You've been put on this earth and graced with the intellect to go after the knowledge to break your family's curses. And that nobody should get in the way of that, ever.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for it. My other question, you just spoke about the Harrison Inc., putting your family, one unit, one business, right, working together. What if you're in a business together with a family, but one family member is draining the business, and he or she is doing so many wrong things in the family? What do you in the business? I mean, what would you do to advise that person, or what would you do? Would you get rid of that family member?
My wife and I were on a scooter in Bali, Indonesia, about 7 years ago. And I stopped over the Uluwatu cliffs and I turned around to her on the scooter and I said, if we're ever going to marry, there's something you need to know about me. I am brutally honest. And I'm honest enough to look at my own children and see if they are fuck ups. And if I see one of my children are not on the path and I've given them the best head start in life, I've given them knowledge, time, effort, and I've given them opportunity, and they decide to become a drug addict or an alcoholic or a gambler or something that is totally against what I've given them, you must understand, just like anybody else in life, I will cut them off like ball cancer. Because you have to understand something. The way you run an army is you run it with strong soldiers. You don't prop up an army based on weak soldiers. You prop up an army based on strong soldiers. And your children and your family members, and I'm guessing it's a partner, if they do not live up to your expectation, move on. This is not what people want to hear, but you must understand something. I'm not here to tell people what they want to hear. I'm telling people the way I'm building my family, like a goddamn Greek army that is going to survive for generations based on the wealth that I've created. And if my kids don't live up to that expectation after 18 years of giving them the best of everything in terms of my life, my knowledge, my energy, my input, guidance, everything, sacrificing everything so they can have something in my name for future generations, then they do not deserve to be part of that, just like anybody else. Just like a friend who doesn't support me doesn't deserve to be in my circle. It is that simple. And people do not want to hear this. People go, oh, but you know, you've got a duty, it's your family. Bullshit. Life is a two-way street. Life is a two-way street. And if we're not meeting each other in the middle, and I'm giving more and you taking more, that is not a relationship. That is dependency. And I'm not here for dependency. I'm here to create a family of warriors.
So true, so true. Thank you so much, Mr. Maini. I really appreciate all this. Thank you so much. It really means a lot to me.
It's an absolute pleasure. So if you guys enjoyed this episode of The Hustle, please be sure to hit that subscribe button or follow button, depending on your podcasting platform. And guys, if you have found value from this episode, please leave us a rating or a comment on your favorite podcasting platform, because we really do appreciate the feedback. And also, it goes a long way to getting this great content out there.
Stay motivated by The Hustle. Talkers talk, but hustlers hustle. Find more episodes at ecr.co.za or your favorite podcast app.